Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 1397, written by Wrongway34567. I cheated death on an impossible road. It was a normal day. Well, what you could call normal, according to my life standards. I could remember hearing about this road every now and then. Someone would mention it to me when discussing locations of restaurants or stores. They would point to it, a long narrow side street that seemed to go nowhere. You couldn't see through the end of it, so it was kind of spooky in a way. Many times I would ride by it on my way home. I would glance to my right and then keep straight and think one day I'm going to go down that road and see what's down there, but I'd just keep passing it. One day, I headed out to go somewhere and decided to go down the road to see what was there. The street was wide, the pavement bright, not the usual street, and there was grass on both sides. I remember it was a nice little ride, but nothing was there, so I decided to make a U-turn and head out. As I drove out, to my surprise, I saw two vehicles entering from the intersection. I thought they must be lost. There's nothing here. One of them was an El Camino, and the other was a UPS truck. They were on the left side of the road, and I was on the right. I remember thinking it's a beautiful day. I was comfortable. I must have been adjusting the radio, and when I looked up, the UPS truck quickly pulled into my lane in order to pass the El Camino, but he didn't have time because they ended up side by side and my car was directly in front of his. There was no room for him to pass. It happened so fast, knowing that he had nowhere to go except to the right, which didn't even seem like an option. I braced for impact. It was inevitable. I closed my eyes, and for some reason, the words, "I believe," came out of my mouth. I waited. My eyes were closed, so there was nothing but darkness. I didn't hear anything, so I opened my eyes. I was still going down the road. I slammed on the brakes and looked through my rearview mirror, and the El Camino and UPS truck were both parked on the left side of the road, further up the street. I jumped out and said, "What happened?" To my surprise, they were both yelling the same thing. The UPS guy was running towards me, waving both hands, kind of skipping with excitement, and the El Camino guy got out of his car and were all talking at the same time. I was saying, "I thought you," and he was saying, "I did," and the other guys were saying, "What happened?" We were all trying to explain it at the same time, but just gave up after a while and got back in our cars and drove off. It was pretty incredible. It was like when I closed my eyes and said that time adjusted everything. Because really, I was sure we were going to crash. I brushed it off and went on my way, but thinking back to that moment, it was pretty incredible. Case notes of file 1397. I cheated death on an impossible road. Had you not closed your eyes, I think you'd have experienced that seamless form of teleportation that sometimes occurs to people randomly via space-time portals. So perhaps the same mechanism is involved in quantum immortality. Maybe the portals aren't random. Maybe those space-time portals exist in areas where people died and had their soul moved to another universe. Maybe an actual portal has to be created, and that portal persists after the person dies. I don't know for how long, but not forever. We know they're unstable. But yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Kind of a light bulb or a Dave above your head. Interesting. Case file number 1398. Written by backroundagain. My lost toy returns after 2 decades. When I was around 4 years old, I was playing with a Matchbox car over a vent in my house and accidentally dropped it down into the inner air ducts. I was fairly distraught about it, but never convinced my parents to go get it for me. 20 odd years later, we've moved into a new house. My brother and I were musing about that and rationalized where the car would have ended up. We opened up the air ducts in the basement. I dropped a tennis ball or two down the same vent I recall dropping the car into, and we dislodged it out. From upstairs, I hear my brother in the basement call out that there's something else lodged up in the vent, and to drop some more balls through. I dropped a few more and an exact version of the same car comes tumbling out. I asked my parents if they bought me a replacement. They assuredly said no, and I have no recollection of re-losing it down the same vent. Entire family would have reminded me of that. We were the second owners of the house. The only thing I could reason was that a previous kid was playing with the exact same car and did the exact same thing, but man, does this feel unlikely. Case notes for file 1398. My lost toy returns after 2 decades. If an entity was trying to return the toy to you, why put it down the vent again, where you possibly might never see it again? Or did the object somehow tether to you, almost like a magnetic leash? One thing is for sure, it was connected to you. It's just odd that it returned in the same way that it was lost. That seems random, and yet it seems impossible to be random. It's almost like you willed it to return, subconsciously, but the subconscious was drawn by the memory of where you had lost it, so it returned in the same way that it was lost. Case file number 1399, written by JastheBrit. Woman and dog vanish. What really happened? To set the scene, I work at a small pet store. We usually only have 1 or 2 customers inside at a time. There are 2 doors into the store, a front and a back door, and they both set off a chime when opened to alert us, so we can make sure to welcome every customer. Today, I was about to check out the only customer in the store when I heard the back door chime. As I was making my way up to the register to check out this guy, I caught a glimpse of the second customer as she walked between the aisles. She was a young black woman, being led by a small fluffy white dog on a leash. I make a mental note of what she looks like, so that when I'm done checking this guy out, I can go greet her properly, tell her about our deals, and see if she needs any help. I check the guy out. It only takes a minute, and he leaves. The door chimes on his way out, but I haven't heard any other chimes, so I know that the black lady is the only customer now in the store, and I start looking for her. I'm searching through the aisles and I can't find her anywhere, until I suddenly stumble across another woman with a dog on a leash, but she's Asian, and her dog is much bigger, maybe 50 pounds, and brown. I scour the rest of the store 3 times over, and she's the only customer in there. The black lady is nowhere to be seen. I have no idea where the black lady went, and how the Asian lady came in. I had a view of both doors when I watched the guy leave out the front door. No one slipped in around while he was leaving. I can't stop thinking about it. It's freaking me out. We don't have cameras, so I can't check if I'm going crazy, but I know what I saw. Did the black lady disappear? Or shapeshift into an Asian lady? Case notes, file 1399. Woman and dog vanish. What really happened? I always like when stores allow pets inside. Feels more natural. Although you have to be careful of multiple pets potentially being hostile or doing their business inside, so I understand why most stores don't permit it. So at first I thought, oh, what an unlikely coincidence. The black lady left at the same time as the man, so the chimes coalesced together and you only heard one, and also the Asian lady came in at the same time with the dog as well. But since you had the view of both doors, that can't be it. And even if it was it, that would be such a confluence of events, it would be almost supernatural in of itself. I guess it's multiversal sight, must be. The black lady came into the store in a different universe, and you were seeing there for a brief moment. It is unusual, but it does happen, and that would definitely explain this. And now time for the quote of the day. Personality can open doors, but only character can keep them open. Elmer G. Letterman. It's funny, this is kind of like YouTube, where if you make a video, the thumbnail is what pulls you in, or the title too, and then the content of the video is what keeps you here. If the content isn't very good, people don't watch for long and it's not a great video. So it's the same thing really in real life. You have your external persona and your image, your personality, but are you a good person inside? Do you keep your promises? Do you keep to your word? Your word is your bond, as they say. If people know they can depend on you to be trustworthy and honorable, then yeah, they're going to want to stick around. Why wouldn't you? That's someone you can actually depend on. Someone you can trust almost as much as you trust yourself. That's very rare. If you get that impression from someone after spending a long time with them, they're going to want to keep you around. That's for sure. So be that person. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.